And we start with developing news this morning as we are on Royal Baby Watch.
Oh yes, the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, is now in the hospital and in the early stages of labor. She was rushed to the hospital around midnight our time and is said to be doing well. The Duchess is at the same hospital, by the way, St. Mary's, where her husband, Prince William, and his brother, Prince Harry, were born. Photographers and reporters from all around the world are lined up outside hoping to catch a glimpse of the royals. The couple hasn't said whether the baby is going to be a boy or a girl, but either way will be third in line for the throne and will most likely become king or queen one day. Keep it right here on News 13 and on our website, KRQE.com, for the latest on the royal baby.
Happening now at 5:01 back in New Mexico. Police in Los Lunas could serve a search warrant as soon as today to learn more about a teenager who drowned this weekend. Matthew Mares drowned in a canal there. Investigators say he fell in while he and 4 of his friends were hanging out. They had called 911, but before emergency workers got there, Mares slipped under the water and he wasn't found for 6 hours. Now police want to know if alcohol was involved in this accident. They do not suspect foul play, but they do say this is simply another sad reminder of how strong rushing water can be.
You know, this is right in the middle of farming season, so there is a constant pressure of water coming through the ditches, and that's very dangerous.
Now, besides getting the search warrant, investigators are also waiting for autopsy and toxicology reports, but they could take a few weeks. Emergency crews on the Santa Clara Pueblo will be keeping an eye to the sky again this week.
Yeah, this after heavy rains this weekend sent a water of wall rushing through the area. It devastated the area with flooding for the third year in a row now. Take a look at this damage here. The rushing waters ripped apart culverts, pushed boulders the size of cars down the canyon. Tons of mud and tree limbs were washed onto the overpasses, which damaged tribal roads. Reservoirs that are supposed to slow down the water completely washed out. The heavy rains were one factor in the flooding. The other, the burn scar from the Los Conchas wildfire that destroyed more than 150 acres a couple years back.
As you know, 80% of our forest is gone, so there's nothing there to hold. And then we have 4 retention ponds that compromise and overflow.
The governor of the Santa Clara Pueblo surveyed the damage and will determine if a state of emergency will be issued. And a portion of I-40 rather is back open this morning after heavy rains and flooding shut it down. These pictures were sent in by viewer named Jesse. It shows how heavy rains left the median near Wingate flooded yesterday. The rushing waters then pushed debris, including large branches, onto the interstate. The state's Department of Transportation says there were also large rocks that covered the roadway, which made it quite dangerous for motorists. Street sweepers were out to clean up.
A mom in Valencia County is in an awful lot of trouble this morning, accused of leaving her 1- and 2-year-old kids at home alone in their car seats behind a door tied shut. Leandra Sosi is now facing child abuse charges. This woman, after Valencia County Sheriff's deputies arrested her on Friday. They say they found her 2 kids at home alone, buckled into their car seats in a room with a door that was very hard to get opened. Not because it was locked, though, but because it was tied with this.
With a piece of rope is what I was told, that they were placing car seats in the room and the door was tied shut.
The kids are now with CYFD, and the last we heard, the mom, Ms. Sosi, was in jail. Albuquerque police are still on the hunt for the robber who killed a store clerk on Friday. Take a look at this surveillance video. Shows the robber here in a black hoodie and shorts barging into the National Jewelry Buyers store on Coors just north of Irving Friday night. The robber pulls out a gun and starts shooting. Police say the clerk got hit and later died.
It appears to be a robbery that went wrong. It appears to be a botched robbery. Like I said, this place is a cash for gold business. Lots of money, lots of product there.
Police say the robber stole some of that cash, then took off. They think in an older model white Crown Victoria. If you know who he is, police would like to hear from you.
The feds say Mexican drug cartels are getting help hiding heroin in homes right here in Albuquerque. Turns out in recent drug busts around the city, the feds say that they have discovered that Mexican heroin traffickers are recruiting heroin users here. Officials say drug users rent an apartment or house in their name, then turn over the keys to the traffickers in exchange for discount drugs. The cartel uses the property as living quarters and for storing the drugs. An alligator is calling a local shelter home after showing up at one home, yes, right here in New Mexico. Serenity Casillas says she saw this 2-foot alligator hanging out by her door in Santa Fe. The gator was drawn to her dog's food bowl but couldn't eat or defend itself because its mouth, look closely, was taped shut. Santa Fe police say it appeared the tape had been there long enough to become embedded in its skin, at least a couple of weeks, they say. It also appears that the alligator was someone's pet. If the previous owner is found, they could face animal cruelty and illegal exotic pet charges.